Hi friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Karis for those who are new here. If you have been a follower of this channel for a while now, going way back to I think about 3 years now, you would probably be familiar with the fact that I actually started this channel as a polymer clay making channel. Fun fact, that is why this channel is called Raining Charms. If you followed my recent content, you know that I've actually mainly just been doing crochet for the last 2 years now. I only did a little bit of clay and then I moved on to crochet. One of the main reasons for that is because working with the polymer clay just didn't seem very safe at the time because I really didn't know much about it except for the fact that it just wasn't the safest thing to be doing unless you knew what you were doing, so you were doing it right. And aside from worrying about some of the toxicity that could potentially be a problem, I was also having troubles with trying to get it to cure properly because I have a toaster oven that I was using instead of a regular oven because I didn't really want to bake the polymer clay in the oven. And if you've never used polymer clay before, you essentially have to mold it into whatever you want to make it into, and then you bake it at a certain temperature for a certain amount of time in the oven to get it to solidify. But I didn't want to use the oven because I worried about also eating from the oven. So I wanted to keep those things separate and use a toaster oven instead. But the toaster oven is kind of small and I was running into the problem of not being able to bake it long enough, and then they were coming out burnt or still pretty brittle and fragile. So after that I tried to use resin, but then I was also worried about the UV resin fumes and everything else, so I kind of put that stuff on the side. Lately, however, I have been doing a lot of research because I kind of want to get back into doing the clay stuff. Still doing crochet, but I want to try doing some clay stuff again. I really did enjoy making the little figurines. I just didn't really enjoy all of the potential problems. But I actually just made a purchase on Amazon for some of my supplies. I got all the safety stuff that I'm gonna need. I got some black natural gloves. I got an actual respirator with the A1P2 filters so that it'll filter out all of the hazards, and then also I'm going to be in a ventilated area when I try to use the resin. And I figured out how to, or I think I figured out how to bake the clay in my toaster oven without it burning and without it being fragile. So with that being said, in this long spiel of intro, in this video I'm actually going to make some clay stuff. I kind of wanted to combine my clay stuff with my crochet stuff, so I thought it would be really cool to make some stitch markers. I'm really excited. I don't know what characters or creatures I'm gonna make, but I'm really excited. So let's get started. It's been so long since I worked with this clay, and it took me a solid like 20 minutes just to find the stuff that I wanted, figure out what I wanted to make, and get my tools ready. I used to have a crafting blade so where I could chop up the clay really easily, but I can't find that thing worth of nothing. I don't know what I did with it. So right now we're gonna go with an X-Acto blade, which is gonna make things a little bit more difficult, but it'll get the job done. I think the first thing I'm gonna make is the little unicorns, because I think those things are absolutely adorable. My little mini unicorns that I showed you guys earlier, I think those things are so cute. I love making those ones, so that's what we're gonna make today. So I've made the body of my unicorn. I wasn't looking at my inspiration or using it as a guide, so I probably should have, because we have quite the size difference going on here, so I'm gonna definitely need to shrink this one down And once I get to the size that I want with this, with the body and the head, I'm probably going to weigh it out on a scale. That way I have the correct amount every time when I go to replicate this little baby unicorn. I think the smaller size is much better for a stitch marker. I think this bigger size is just not going to work. It needs to be much smaller. So here is the old one that I made that I was modeling this one after, and here is the new one. So they look very, very similar in size and style. I can't believe after all this time I was still able to make this little guy again. So I also want to try these worry stones that I've been seeing. I thought they'd be kind of cool to test out the baking, but also using the resin and curing the resin to make a nice smooth surface on the clay piece. I think I want to start with like a frog design. I don't have pastel colors, so I'm just going to try and color the white clay with a green. The only greens that I have aren't really the kind of color I want for my frog. I want like a lighter color, but nothing too vibrant or dark, so I need something in the middle. So I'm going to mix this dark green clay that I have with the white clay and try to get a good frog color. I'm really, really nervous about baking my clay stuff. A long time ago when I first tried this, I could not get it right in the toaster oven. As I mentioned before, I would constantly burn them. They'd only bake for like 5 minutes or so before they started smoking, and then they'd burn, and then I'd be like, what the heck? Because everybody's saying that they're baking theirs for 40 or 50 minutes, and I can't seem to figure out how. I finally did some research though now, within the last few days, trying to figure out exactly what was going wrong. So I actually took the tray that the toaster oven came with, I put it on top to cover my stuff instead of using an aluminum foil tent, which is what I did previously, and it didn't seem to help. So I took that and I put it on top to block the heat, but then I also preheated the toaster oven before putting anything in it to avoid those large temperature spikes. But if I can get it right with this, then we can move on to trying to bake bigger batches and more than just one piece at a time, and hopefully maybe add some of this stuff to our shop. So it's been about 20-ish minutes, 25 minutes, and so far we're looking good. It's not burning yet. I can only get it to stay around 250. It's not at 275. I keep trying to like increase it a little bit, but I'm super worried it's just going to spike and burn the creation. But so far we're doing okay. We might just need to bake it a little bit longer. So far it looks good. It's not burnt. I do feel that it's a little soft still, impressionable. I definitely need to put it back in the toaster oven. Probably it's been 35 minutes, but it has been at like 250, so I'm probably gonna have to do like another 30 minutes to get this baked through all the way. The froggy came out so cute. This is adorable. Look at that. I forgot to explain this concept earlier, but in case you don't know, worry stones are supposed to be meant to be like a calming device, essentially. Once it's smooth from the resin and also what I'm about to do with the acetone, once it's a smooth surface, you just like hold it in your hand and you rub your thumb around it, and it's supposed to be like a calming device essentially for situations of anxiety or high stress. We baked it for probably a total of 55 minutes, I think, at 250. I couldn't get it to stay around 275 to save my life, and I was so afraid of it going higher. I just really did not want to burn it. Really actually happy that we have made it 55 minutes in the toaster oven and there's no burning. We're good. Yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of afraid to see how brittle it is. The resin's going to coat the entire thing, and the resin itself is really sturdy anyway. But so far, like, it's not bending. So that's all I care about. And then eventually I'll get my toaster oven to cooperate and actually do 275. But this is good. This is good. There are imperfections in this though. There is some lint left behind, so I'm going to use some acetone and Q-tips and wipe that stuff away, get the surface a little bit smoother, and prepare it for the UV resin. Well, that took a little bit of time, but he's just so adorable. Look at him. And I was sitting here playing with like moving my thumb even before the resin is on it, and honestly, like, it is so calming. It's so strange. I really like this. I think I'm definitely going to be making more of them. I have not baked my unicorn charm yet. This was actually the first thing that I baked because, like I said, I was so worried about things burning, and this was a lot less complicated than my unicorn was. So if something was going to burn, I'd rather it be something that I could make a lot faster. Since I haven't baked the unicorn charm yet, I'm kind of thinking I want to add another Worry Stone animal in with the unicorn and get those both baked, and then we'll go ahead and put some UV resin on our products. The idea that I have in my mind right now is I think a cow would look really adorable as a little Worry Stone. So that's what we're gonna do. One thing I have noticed on YouTube and Etsy and all those other platforms that have the Worry Stones is that some of them actually look like they're kind of small. Just the size of maybe like 2 or 3 fingers, a really small little fidget that you just can barely fit your thumb in. And this one, he's the size of like half of my hand. So like you can really hold him and rub the stone, but I don't know if that's too big or not. Considering everybody else's is kind of a lot smaller. I like the size of this. I personally really like the size of this. So you have to let me know in the comments below what you think about that. If it is a good size or not. So here's our final cow design. I think it came out super cute. Again, it is really big. Like, you can really move your thumb around in there and play with it. So maybe I might go down on the size with this a little bit. I mean, they are the same size. It is very calming using this. Can't even tell you how long this took me. I think this took me like an hour. Getting back into the groove of things is a little bit hard, but I think he came out so cute. So stinking cute. I do have to bake this still along with the little tiny unicorn. However, my baby girl is currently sleeping, so I'm gonna try and maybe make a few more things that will fit on the tray and just maximize our space and our time. And then when she wakes up, we'll go ahead and start baking things. So our pieces are officially all baked. They're nice and solid and they're ready for our resin coating. I'm really excited to start this process. I did set up this nail lamp. I actually do my own nails. I do Gel X extension nails sometimes on my hands just to save money, so I learned how to do that a long time ago. So I have this UV light. I'm hoping this is going to be strong enough. I did kind of turn it away from me so that while it is curing for a while, hopefully the light doesn't really shine down on me. I have seen some people kind of cover it with a towel, so that might be something that I also do in the future, but for now this is our setup. I did lift it up a little bit so that we had space to put things under there and stand them up, because this is actually really low to the ground. We definitely needed to lift it up, and I saw some people do that, and I thought that was a great idea. Speaking of great ideas, I also saw somebody turn essentially one of these little wire things into a little holder, putting a little bit of clay on the end of it, and then using the tip to replace the eye hook position on your little charm. So you take the eye hook out, and then you put the stick in through that hole that's already there so that you can hold it while you glaze the charm. So I'm going to try to build one of that for these. And then for these that do not have any eye ring holes in them, I'm going to try and use a piece of clay and put it on the back and then squish it down and hold it on one of my little clay tiles. I need to get one of those acrylic cubes to hold my stuff, but I don't have that right now, so we're going to make use of what we've got, and that is the plan. I also got these black UV nail polish containers that are empty. That way I can pour the resin in there and then use the nail polish brush to brush on the UV resin. I've heard through a lot of people that using the nail polish brush is one of the easiest ways to spread the resin, so I got these black ones so that while the UV resin sits in the jar, it doesn't cure, it's not see-through, so the sunlight can't get in. So I can store the resin in there and then keep the nail polish brush inside there as well. And this package of 6, I believe, were about $10. I'm definitely not going to be using all 6 of them, but I might end up using more than one in the future if one gets all gunky or something. If you want to check out these nail polish bottles, I do have them on my Amazon link in the description box below if you want to check them out, or anything else that you end up seeing here. I of course also got a respirator to keep my lungs safe. Never used this before, so I definitely needed to get one. And we got some black nitrile gloves as well. I do also have the window open for extra ventilation as well. So at the moment, we just got the top of the frog glazed with the resin, but my baby girl, she was sleeping and now she's awake. I'm looking at the monitor over here. So now she's awake, I'm gonna go get her, and then when she goes back to sleep, we will try to continue doing this. I'm just gonna cure what we have done with that frog worry stone, and then we'll come back at a different time and finish this when she goes back to sleep. Alright, it has been a few hours. Baby girl is now back down for her second nap of the day, and we can continue on where we left off. A few notes for the first glazing. It is very shiny and smooth, however there are quite a few spots where it kind of pulled away from the clay, and so it's not as shiny or smooth in some areas, and I'm not really liking that. I want it to be one whole coat, so I'm gonna try probably a second coat to see if that's gonna get these spots up, because as you can see there are some spots where it has pulled away, the resin has pulled away from it and not actually coated it. So I'm gonna try to probably do a second coat on this. Once I'm satisfied with that, we will move on to the rest of our stuff. But first things first, safety gear. Ooh, much harder to do after you've tightened it. You guys, I've been wearing the mask for like an hour and a half now, but I wanted to give you an update on where we're at. I did finish glazing pretty much all of our froggies. We are still working on some of them. 2 of them are still curing under the UV lamp, but for the most part, we've got everything done. We did our little unicorn, and it's so cute. Adorable. I did not do the back of our froggy stone. I did do the front though with another coat, and it came out really, really soft and smooth. I tried to do the cow, and I just poured the resin directly on it and then spread it around with the nail polish brush, and it ended up being too much and it was dripping down the back of it, unfortunately. So when I cured it, essentially I just kind of really messed this one up. I'm having a really big problem with the resin though. If there's anybody here currently watching this video who has experience with working with clay and UV resin, I need some tips and tricks on why this is happening. It is just separating, the resin separates even if I brush the whole thing. It just separates and turns into these little dips where there isn't any resin, and then I end up having to go back over it. And I don't know if this is a common problem or not, but it definitely happened to plenty of my charms here that I was trying to do, so I always had to go back and try to redo it and fill in those gaps. So if you might know why that might be happening, please definitely let me know in the comments below, because it's super irritating and it takes twice as long to fix. However, aside from that, the way that I was trying to glaze these charms to begin with, I first started trying to hold the charms with the pliers. That was okay, but it really made my hand cramp. So I tried to do the second method of using that piece of metal stuck to the clay, and I think that might be my preferred method at the moment. It took a little bit of getting used to, but after I got used to it, it made the process a lot simpler. It saved my hand, and I was able to mold the clay in any way I needed to get the charms in the position I needed for the UV light to hit it correctly. So that worked for the time being, but I do think that in the future, if I do more charms, especially if I make more than one at a time, I'm probably going to try to actually submerge the charm in like a small bowl with the UV resin in it, dip it in, and then just try to brush off the excess, and maybe perhaps that will take me less time. I don't know. I'm still just trying to get used to the methods of getting these charms completed, but I think there's definitely still things that I need to learn to get these done properly. But for our first trial back, these cute little charms came out absolutely adorable. I am really happy. I'm glad that I was actually able to bake them without any problems, and they didn't burn, and they baked properly. And then also being able to use the UV resin too, especially with all of the safety equipment and proper precautions this time, it made things a lot smoother. But yeah, that is the end of our clay adventures. I don't know how many more of these I'm gonna do. I'm still doing crochet content, of course. Be on the lookout for that. We are still doing that. Currently, I'm actually making some more bags for our next videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this different video. If you want to see more behind the scenes content and extra exclusive content, be sure to check out YouTube memberships and my Patreon, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.